Yeah, I just have two questions. I'll try to make it quick. There seems to be an increasing, frustration with the representative process in this country. Democrats and Republicans seem to be in bed with the same special interests. Democrats are hardly doing anything except passing non-binding resolutions. And this has led a lot of people, to confront those, major transnational corporations directly that they feel are eroding our national sovereignty, like the 1999 Seattle protest against the WTO. And the military seems to think that there's going to be increasing civil unrest in the future. That's why they're doing these urban drills. They call it urban warrior. And they seem to think that since most of the populations would be concentrated in these urban areas, that they need to kind of militarize the cities. And I'm wondering, do you see like a role of these private mercenaries in this, in this rise of the police state, basically? And also, we just had a showing of 9/11 Press for Truth here on campus. And I'm wondering what your feelings are on the whole 9/11 Truth movement and how much involvement the Bush administration had in the September 11th attack.
I'll answer that question first. I think that the facts that we know are disturbing enough as they stand, and I choose to focus on the fact that 750,000 Iraqis are being killed, and that's the area that I choose to go down. I think that the people that are happiest about that debate are those in the White House, because it's been an extraordinary distraction from the mass slaughter that's happening in the world right now. As to your first question, which I think is extremely important, part of this privatization agenda has to do with removing the citizenry from oversight of operations, not just elsewhere, but here in the United States. And one of the things that's happened in the last couple of years is that in January of 2006, KBR, which is the largest war contractor in Iraq, was given a $385 million contract by the Department of Homeland Security to be on standby to build emergency detention centers. And in the contract, which I have, it says, he called for preparing for, quote, an emergency influx of immigrants, or to support the rapid development of new programs in the event of other national emergencies such as natural disasters. I think we got a window into the future of U.S. law enforcement, particularly in the event of national emergencies or natural disasters in Katrina. What happened is that you got all these mercenary forces that literally descended on the Gulf area. They were brought in by wealthy individuals. They were brought in by the Bush administration. They were brought in by banks, private companies. And you had, it literally was like this post-apocalypse video game, except it was real and people really were dying. And I think that was a window into what happens in a national emergency. Those with money hire their own private armies, including apparently Israeli commandos, and they'll just set up a checkpoint on the streets of an American city. We're supposed to have a law in the books, Posse Comitatus, that bans the military from participating or engaging in any kind of domestic law enforcement. The Bush administration has taken several steps to try to chisel away at that. But what's the difference between the active duty military deploying to be engaged in law enforcement type activities, as they call them, and a private army? Well, the difference is that there's actually some system, theoretically, of accountability with the military, but the private armies, there's none. And so I think that, in the event of national emergency, in the event of a natural disaster, we'll have a very frightening scenario in this country where those with money have their own private armies that are accountable to no one except their paymaster. And I think that that's one of the scary things that sprouts up from this privatization agenda. I think it's very disturbing. We have a constitutional crisis in this country brewing.